So hey you guys, we are in Melbourne, Florida today, and I am super excited to do this little walkabout tour with you. So today I do not have my camera guy, he's in college, so I've got my little selfie stick, and we're just going to kind of walk around, and I'm just going to take you with me, and we're going to talk about some plants and trees. This was kind of an impromptu tour. I just popped in to see how things were doing. It was a problem child project from day one, so when I have those projects, I definitely pop in here and there just to kind of see how things are coming along and doing, and I am so pleased to say it is just doing so stunning. So I pulled out the camera, pulled out the selfie stick, and said I'm going to take my YouTube group with me and show you guys what can be done in this particularly small front yard where they had such issues. So just to kind of give you a little bit of insight on it, my clients called me many months ago now and said, we saw you on YouTube and we would love for you to come over and kind of create a same kind of feeling for our front yard space as you do in your videos. But everything we put in dies. Everything we've had landscapers put in dies. So what we really wanted to make sure that you were able to kind of create some concrete planters and then incorporate those plants within the concrete planters and nothing in the ground. Everything goes in the planters. So obviously I was intrigued because I'm like, as my husband likes to say, the harder the project, the more I'm interested. Okay, so let me see what's going on there. But ultimately they went on to explain that everything that they had everything they had planted in here from other landscape companies and from the original builder's package is just died. It's just not made it, and it's died rather quickly. So if we can put it in planters, then we can ensure that all the money that we're going to spend in landscaping is actually going to it's going to be beneficial. And so so after meeting with them, I realized that Tony and Ann are just such fun to work with. So I took on this project. I did explain to them that I'd like to do a soil sample. I'd like to kind of see what's going on below the ground, and they were right on point. The soil, the pH was super high. It was a definitely tough soil to work with, but we brought in some really good organic matter, some really good mix, kind of hauled out some of that old soil, backfilled with some good soil and some good ag, and then kind of repitched the slope so drainage didn't become a problem. And voila, you know, we are now into a very successful landscape that is not only living but flourishing, and they are happy, which is ultimately the biggest goal. I'm happy because I was able to rectify a problem, because these folks are artists in their own right. I mean, the interior of their home is designed to a T. They have put special attention to everything, so I didn't want to fail them in the landscaping. So I will do what I normally do. I am going to flip the camera around. I'm going to list the plants and trees, tell you a little bit about each one of them, and then I'll be sure to put the name of the plant and the tree on the screen, so that way you have a really good shopping list for maybe your own space. But this this video pretty much goes out to those of you guys who, you know, have done landscaping and it's just struggled, or you've got a problem area in your yard and you're kind of not really sure what to do with. I will link I will link my video in the description down below that discusses soil samples, because, you know, when you're in that kind of situation, the best thing that you can do is, you know, educate yourself, really kind of find out what's needed to get your you know, your plantings to flourish. You know, it's hard when you have a beautiful front space and then you've got an eyesore, and that's kind of what my clients Ann and Tony had to deal with. So the mere fact that we were able to rectify that is just thanks enough. So but you guys will have to let me know what you think, and other than that, we are gonna turn this camera around and get started and share with you what we were able to do here. So let me, gosh, I totally need a camera guy. Let me figure out how to do that. All right, so here we go. So this is the front yard space. Again, like I said, it's not very large. We were able to incorporate about 3 major beds and a little pop-out bed by the walkway here. And I would say, you know, this is your typical size of what a Florida front yard planting looks like. And I will squeeze in a before picture if I haven't already, and then really let you guys see kind of where we started and what they were dealing with initially, and then the end result, I think, turned out quite nice. So going in with the right side of the driveway, we'll kind of start here. So right here, right off of the right off of the sidewalk here, we brought in a Hong Kong orchid. Oh my gosh, this guy is just absolutely stunning. We put a root barrier there near where the foundation line is, because they have a tendency to do their own thing. And you kind of see, I don't know if you can see that bloom up there, that purple bloom on those orchids are fantastic. And funny enough, we did this project over here several years ago, and then their Hong Kong orchid is just as beautiful and quite a bit larger, and that's the reason why my new clients wanted us to incorporate one across the street, and one wasn't enough in this small yard. We actually ended up doing two. So yeah, this is a purple blooming Hong Kong orchid, and she's very happy here. Just underneath, those little crazy guys that are right there, those are Songs of India. And then we've got two false agaves anchoring this little corner bed. Right along the edge of the bed there, we've got some blue flame agaves. And these are so slow growing, really easy to care for, can handle more water than your typical agaves, which they would have to with this tropical landscape that we have going on. But they do so well, and they can really take the heat off of the sidewalk, which is what I really needed them to do in this particular space. So just like I like to do, we did anchor the right side of the house with two royal palms, and then I chose to put in a pygmy date palm as the backdrop palm. So I really like the way that it kind of holds the end of this bed together. It really gives you some depth, some darkness on the right corner of the house. Just behind the pygmy date palm, I don't know if you can see that. Let me move around. We've got some yellow thryallis that are blooming nicely. And then of course, we've got rocks, so we've got foxtail ferns. I think that's my new go-to plant there, is the foxtail ferns. So these right here are dwarf screw pines, and you know, I really like to use them in little clusterings like you see here, and that's kind of what they're gonna do. They're really gonna kind of give us some impact just below this window. These are the dwarf varieties, so they'll stay nice and compact, but gosh, they're really filling in nicely and really doing the job. I love that little bit of messiness that they offer, especially when you can pair that with something like the dwarf Lucie in the background, that are more rounded, more controlled, real neat, real clean. You know, to me, that you got that, you know, controlled, pared back kind of look, and then you got this. That contrast is just like, you know, polite and crazy. I love the way that mixes together, and I think they're doing such a superb job together. So. We've got a blue agave over here, and he's definitely going to be the focal point of this bed once he really takes off and grows in. I kind of want him to be just kind of underneath that window line there, and kind of really accenting that main window. Then down below, we're coming into the foxtail ferns, and then on each side of this beautiful triple bottle palm, we have Imperialis bromeliads, and you guys probably see them in several of my videos because they are another plant that can handle more water than your typical bromeliads, and they still give you that bromeliad look. So I just think they're gorgeous. And these are two nice, we brought them in, I think, about 10-gallon size. So they grow slow, so if you can get them in a little bit bigger, go ahead and splurge a little bit on that, because it takes so much time for them to really get established. Okay, so when I was at this house, I knew something interesting needed to go on this wall. You know, we've got the pygmy date palm on the right side that adds a little bit of that medium depth there, but it's off to the corner, so you're only getting a little bit of that front on the wall. But this spot right here, I needed it to have some tropics. I needed it to kind of pop out and really give you some interest there, but I couldn't have it take over that space. So bottle palms notoriously grow super slow, and it's really doing a nice job of filling out that whole area. And I think that it was just the perfect tree for that spot. So when I saw the space and I was tagging material for my design, as soon as I saw that tree, I knew that was Tony's and Ann's. I'm like, that tree belongs here. So, and it does fit in so well into that space. Just below it, we have a nice boulder mixed with two ruby reds, and then just down below the boulder there, we've got some golden sedum. Now we shifted this grade on this this bed here to where we have some height to the back and a little bit of a little bit of lowness to the front, so that way the edging didn't hold in the water, because they had such drainage issues initially. So what I chose for the edges of the beds are things that could handle more water. So these ruby reds can handle more water than things to the back, and that golden sedum, of course, likes a little bit more moisture. So it's really soaking up whatever kind of drips and drains to that edge of that bed. It's soaking that up really, really well, as are these Blew My Minds. So right here we have a double foxtail palm, and it's just kind of giving us an anchor, and we'll see the left side that we've got a triple foxtail palm in just a moment, but I think that double foxtail palm is doing really, really nicely there. We backed it with some orange bromeliads. Those are orange Blanchard or fire bromeliads. They love the sun. And again, dabbed in some foxtail ferns. Overall, this bed has grown in a great deal, but it's not overcrowded, it's not full, and it doesn't have a lot of material. So you don't have to, flood a bed, but just have a rhythm that you're going to start with. If you're going to start with foxtail ferns on this end, finish them off on that end, kind of create a little break in the middle, and then, that's just kind of the concept of how you carry over a bed that really kind of keeps in line with that, with a real clean rhythm in planting. Okay, so right here we have a false agave. This is the male version. Those two variegated over there are the female version. You kind of see this one's more vibrant, more upright, and those are just a little bit of a softer tip. Those also do not have the thorns along the leaves themselves. They are pointy at the edge, which is typical to all of us females. And then this one has more of the barbs on the edges, so it's not nearly as friendly, but it's quite striking. So down below we have the Blew My Minds right along that edge here, and then we did a more of a squared off bed, if you notice here, than I normally do in my videos. Normally maybe it's my Spanish roots, but I like my loop-de-loops. I like my curves, my big angles, things swooping in and out, but that was not the style of my clients. They have a lot of sharp edges here, a lot of dramatic straight lines, and so they wanted the landscaping and the beds to replicate that, and I think they do, and I think they do a lovely job of that. So I think that was a great call to my clients, which, we're designers and we're here to help them get their vision, but it is ultimately their vision. So I try to keep that personal, those personal touches to myself, and then make sure that I'm creating exactly what my clients are looking for. Okay, so we are going to shoot over to the left side. So this is a little bit of a hard bed to figure out what to do with here. They definitely wanted a nice bit of impact on the left side as we have on the right. So we definitely created just a kind of more of an L-shaped bed along the foundation of the sidewalk here. So we've got a triple foxtail palm at the entrance, and then to the left, anchoring it with a single foxtail palm. We have big Dean bromeliads, which I think are so cool. They've grown so much since I put them in, and they're very, very happy here. They can also handle more water than your typical bromeliad. And then we've dialed them in with some dwarf Carissa, or excuse me, those are Colusia, dwarf Colusia at the bottom. Those grow super slow and can be maintained nice and round like an individual planter ball, or you can kind of create a hedge with those and keep them nice and crisp, and then just allow those big Dean bromeliads to pop out of the center of them. I think they do a nice job of that. So they can't go wrong whichever way they decide. And then, so we're back here again where we have kind of something real tight, real paired back with the Colusia. And we brought in the Liriope, which again, I have that little sprig, that little bit of craziness, and then the white African iris to the back that are going to do that as well. So these are plants that are just a little bit wild next to the paired back, kind of clean lines of the Colusias. We have a trio here of blue agaves, and oh gosh, so we've got one over there. Sorry to jerk the camera around. This is why we need a professional behind the camera, you guys. And then we've got a beautiful trio here, and I cannot wait till these guys get their 4 foot, 5 foot heights, because that's when they're really going to show off in the bed. But I think they're already showing up and doing a fantastic job. So we've got a pygmy date palm here, and it goes back to my rinse and repeat, you guys. I've got a pygmy date palm on the right side behind the royal palm. Now we've got one here anchoring this bed behind this foxtail palm, and you'll notice I have another one to the back there along that edge. So it really does also it's kind of giving us a screening, a backing. So we have some, that way your eye doesn't shoot all the way straight up and then straight down to the low plantings. It's all about the levels. It's all about the layers. All the layers, even in a small space. So right coming up, just outside the columns here by the front entrance are two pots. We ended up doing two silver odorata bromeliads with some purslane popping out of the bottom of them, and then silver falls trailing from the front of them, and they're just gorgeous. So those bromeliads will get about 2 foot taller, and that's it. And I think they do a nice job of kind of, you know, giving some clean line focal point to the front. Now those are in pots because they don't like quite as much water as the other bromeliads that I chose. So, you know, they're really struggling. So the clients have had a little mishap with the Congos, the green Congos in the front. They picked those up later, and it's just a little bit too sunny of an area. So I'm gonna give them some suggestions of what they might be able to use in that particular spot later. So right to the left of the front door, those are giant apostle iris or flat fan iris, Regina iris. They're called several different things. They bloom a beautiful purple flower. They bloom that in March. They also bloom they bloom late fall, early spring. So those are kind of their time frames of when they really bloom. You know, they come out with the good weather. They're just not loving this heat that we're in. It's 97 degrees today. That feels like it's 120. It is so steamy hot out here today. So if you notice that I'm talking fast, that's why. Of course, you guys, the red cloaks. Now these are in full sun, so you can see that they have a little bit of a lighter coloring. The blooms are starting to fade on those. It looks like they've been blooming all summer, but goodness, they are gorgeous. They make a nice barrier backdrop to this particular very small bed. So this bed was hard to maneuver because it's pretty much a square. So we kind of created some layers and some curves with the heights of plants and trees. So, and I think it did a nice job. Just below are the Sanchesia, and then again a little touch of the dwarf screw pines, and then the pygmy date palm to the back. This is the other Hong Kong orchid that I mentioned that we brought in, and it's doing quite well. I don't see that we have any blooms yet, but we're not quite in season. They've kind of went through their blooming cycle already. I thought we might be able to catch one or two leftovers, but no. And then we've got some white African iris that'll fill in the bottom of this planting bed here. Now, I think the only thing that we ended up keeping from the original landscape were these three poor little Queen Emmas, and they're doing well. They were struggling for a good long while, but it looks like they're popping back and doing well, so I'm glad that we kept them. This back to the back here is Blaze Copperleaf, and look at how gorgeous those leaves look against that light colored wall. I just think they really, really take off. And then just down below, we just did a real clean line of Green Island ficus. Again, you know, anytime you have something crazy, you know, just frame it with something nice and clean, and it helps take some of the crazy away. I could think about some pairings that work that way too, but I won't go into detail. Okay, and so we got Lucie to the background, and then this little weird half wall, we ended up putting another pygmy date palm down there. And that's it, you guys. That's the extent of this project. And you know, we've had some terrible storms in Florida here this year, and these trees have combated it and bounced right back, which takes tons and tons of energy. So it means that what we did in the beginning with treating the soil and giving them a really good foundation made all the difference in the world. So don't give up on your front yard, backyard, side yard project that is struggling, because it really can come back. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you found this tour helpful, and I will finish off with posting some pictures at the end of the video guys need some still shots. All right, till the next one. Take care.